Hey, what's up everybody? Michael here, and today we're going to be talking about Luac0re. Luac0re was just released by Gezine, but I do want to say that it is not all furry kittens and rainbows over here. Now, let me explain what I mean. Now, first off, we got the official release from Luac0re, which we're going to dive into in just a moment, and I'll even take you on a few demos of this. But first off, Gezine said over here, so we've got a situation. MasterCore does have DUP privilege, but at some firmware, maybe 8.xx, Sony removed the network socket privilege from the PS2 emulator. Now, he's got a question mark there because he wasn't sure, but we have found out over here from Zeko, as he tweeted on September the 12th, 2024, that what seems to have happened from 7.61 to 8.00 was TheFlow submitted his second BDJB bug, and then Sony decided to do a security audit on 8.00. In the middle of this audit, MasterCore got successfully blocked from using libkernel in the majority of syscalls. Likewise for WebKit. So as a quick summary here, TheFlow submitted his bug, and then Sony did a security audit, and inside of that audit, MasterCore got successfully blocked. So if you bought one of these overpriced discs, well, now they're only going to be good at least up to PS5 firmware 8.00. Now again, that is at this exact moment in time right now. Now, the developers may be able to find ways to work around this, and that could absolutely happen. So I wouldn't say that game is over right now completely. I'd say that we've just got a little bit of a delay. So taking a look at the official project page here, we can see that Luac0re is a MasterCore variation that uses Lua scripting for easier exploit development. And then in the overview here it says, the original MasterCore for Okage uses PS2 code execution only, which requires the PS2 SDK to compile the code. Luac0re uses minimal PS2 shellcode to escape the PS2 emulator, then leverages the Lua 5.3 interpreter already embedded in the main executable, which was originally intended for the PS2 emulation configuration to simplify code writing and execution. Now it states over here in the requirement that this does work with the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 5 console. You do need to have the disc or the digital version of the USA region of Star Wars Racer Revenge. Now again, you can go ahead and install the digital version of this game if you have a system on such like 12.40, at least as of this moment, in hopes that you might be able to use this in the future. Otherwise, I would absolutely recommend that you do not buy this game, at least at this current moment, because we just simply have better jailbreaks available for PS5 8.00 and under. Now let's go ahead and see what it states here under the restriction. It says, while Luac0re works on every PS4, so currently all the way up to 13.02, and do keep in mind that is just the userland exploit. That does not mean we have a kernel exploit working on 13.02. And it even works on PS5 current 12.40 firmware. He states that from PS5 firmware 8.00, Sony blocked the socket creation with non-AF Unix domains. And you can see over in his original tweet a few of these debug messages where he's trying to implement some of these functions and they just simply are not working. So which states here, which means you cannot use the network at PS5 8.00 or greater. The PS4 has absolutely no restrictions. So in order to get running with this, there is an option here where you can download the latest release file and then go through the process of copying the Lua directory and this .card file into your save data. And again, this is exactly how we did this with remote Lua loader, which I have a video on that I'll link to in the description. And then start the game and go to Options, and then go to Hall of Fame, and then simply enjoy. Now let's go ahead and scroll back up here, and we can look underneath payloads here, and we can see that there is an initial payload, and that is a hello world.lua. So just as I stated in my previous videos before we knew, we are able to start sending over these .lua files once we get a remote connection. So now let's go ahead and take a look at running this. By the way, thanks to ConsoleHax for allowing me to use a bit of footage that he has been producing. So let's take a look at this video. So first off, this is a PS5 4.50 system, and they obviously have the disc for Star Wars Racer Revenge. So if we go ahead and let this play out, so you can see they go ahead and they start the game as expected. It takes just a few seconds here to load up. We can see the PlayStation 2 pop up. Again, that's the same thing that pops up with Fahrenheit and Indigo Prophecy. Right there, it is doing a game load. And in just a moment here, we will be able to go to the Hall of Fame. Okay, so from the main menu, you'll press Start and go down to the Options here, and then go down to Hall of Fame. And right there, it says Mounting Save Data for Lua Transition, which we talked about just yesterday on the channel. And right there it is. We can see that Luac0re 1.0 by Gezine, the platform is the PlayStation 5, and the firmware version is at 4.50. Here again, it executed the init.lua and it mounted the save data. And now at this point, it is waiting for you to send a payload over to this IP address, and right here 9026 is the port number. And so that is really where this video ends, mainly because there is nothing chained with it, but you will be able to start sending some of these payloads as they get added to the Luac0re payloads folder. Now there is a couple of great options, especially if you want to just restore a backup. Again, ConsoleHax has came through and has delivered a backup that you can restore to. Now, one thing to note is that you would need to be on a 4.50 plus system here. And then there is another backup here that you can download if you just want to use Y2JB with the shadow mount, notify, the KStuff, and the PS5 debug. So you really have two nice options here instead of going ahead and creating this thing completely from scratch. So great job to ConsoleHax for sharing some of his work. So you might be asking, where do we go from here? Well, first off, this project again is just a userland implementation, so we would need to have a kernel exploit chained with it, and that would take care of PlayStation 5s at least up to 8.00, but again, there already is a really good jailbreak that doesn't require this expensive disk for PlayStation 5s on 8.00. Now, I do believe that the issues that has been mentioned probably will be overcome, especially because the whole kind of hacking community is taking a look at this at this time, but only time will tell. Anyways, thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Michael